Hey guys, good morning, or good afternoon, or I guess maybe even good evening to those of you who are logging in right now to see what's going on today. We are on the Thursday lesson. This is for Thursday, April 16th. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go in. We've got another patient that has come into our doctor's office. Her name is Sally spews a ton. And we'll tell you why Sally spews a ton, or actually, you're going to tell me why Sally spews a ton before it's over. But we're going to get into that in just a little bit. You're going to go to Unit 1 from the home page, and then you're going to open up 1.4 Disease Diagnosis. So when you get to that page, it's going to open up a link, I hope, called Diagnostic Clues. Now, when the first thing I'm going to have you do is go in here, and there are 3 files that we're going to download. You may not need to download the disease dictionary if you have it from the other day. It's the same thing. It has not changed. But if you want to look at it, you can. But I do need you to download the medical file 2 and the 1.4 diagnostic clues. For the sake of time, I've already downloaded those for us. Again, when you get these medical files, go on and take them into Notability. I'm not going to do that today for the sake of time on this video, but you're going to drag this into Notability. And I want you to take a look at Sally spews a ton's vitals, okay? And again, like we did last week, you're going to highlight in red the things that don't look normal. Obviously, a temperature of 101.3 is not normal, so let's go on and highlight that. The blood pressure is 86/60. I don't have a problem with the 60, with the diastolic number, but the systolic number, 86, is a little low. So let's go on and highlight that. The pulse is pretty rapid too. We want to pulse somewhere around 80. So we're going to highlight that. I'm kind of going to give you those answers. Respiratory rate is perfectly fine. It's between 18 and 20, so she's not breathing very heavily. What you're going to do next is then highlight, like we did last week, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday, you're going to highlight all the things that don't look right with Sally spews a ton. So for example, it says she's thirsty, but has not been urinating frequently. Well, if we're drinking a lot of water and nothing's coming out, that's not normal, guys. So let's go on and highlight that. You're going to have to kind of highlight anything in this that does not look normal, okay? Then you have the doctor's physical exams down at the bottom. Those are her symptoms, okay? Those are the things that we're going to be looking for in just a little bit. So after you've highlighted everything, you're going to come back. If you have not yet downloaded, you're going to download the 1.4 diagnostic clues. It looks like this, pretty simple form. So when you're a doctor, you just don't walk in and plug in a cable into the back of the patient's head and all the information comes pouring out. You have to ask questions. As you've been to the doctor before, I'm sure, and they ask you, where does it hurt? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much does it hurt? Things like that. They've got to become what we call medical sleuths or detectives, and they are looking to figure out what direction to go in to help diagnose you and get you feeling better. So what you're going to do with this second page is you're going to consider all the questions that the doctor had to ask in order to get the information in the case notes section of Sally spews a ton's medical files. So, for example, right here in the third paragraph, it says, patient has not traveled anywhere recently. Well, obviously, they had to ask the question, have you traveled anywhere? Have you been outside the country? They ask those kind of questions. So that would be one of your questions that you're going to write down right here. So there, I gave you one. There are 18 questions in this medical file. You may not find all 18. That's okay. Write down as many as you can come up with, because we're going to use these questions a little bit later on, or next week, I should say, in an activity that we're going to be doing. So write down all the questions. It's kind of like Jeopardy, right? They give you the answer. You got to come up with a question. So there is the question. And you were going to write those out. Then you're going to diagnose Sally spews a ton, just like you did on Tuesday with our little boy who has, well, I don't want to say because not everybody's turned that in yet, but the little boy who has something, those of you that turned it in, by the way, we are at 100% rate. Everybody's gotten it right so far. Congratulations. But just like you diagnosed him, you're going to go to the disease dictionary and you're going to compare. You might want to do a side-by-side split between the medical file. There's the symptoms. There's all the things. You might want to kind of do a little split screen between the disease dictionary and the medical file. And I want you to start diagnosing Sally spews a ton. But when we go back to this page, the second question says, identify the strategies you could use to systematically narrow down the possible diseases. I don't want you just to kind of go through the process, which is fine. You are going to go through it, but I want you to document it. I want you to realize what you're doing. So, for example, if your systematic process is to go in and narrow down the incubation periods, okay? And by the way, it's a little hard. It doesn't say in here an exact amount of days, but if you read it closely, you'll be able to figure out how many days it was from the time that she got or was exposed to the time that she started getting her first symptom. Remember, that's the incubation period. But what I want you to do is write down the systematic approach. How did you solve the question, or how did you solve the case? And so you're going to, maybe you look at incubation periods, and the ones that don't match up, you throw them out. And then maybe you look at symptoms. And the ones that match the most symptoms, you kind of hang on to. And the ones that don't have any symptoms that are like, you throw them out. I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to figure out your own systematic approach, and everybody does it different. But what I want you to do is document the approach you took to getting Sally spews a ton her diagnosis in. Then, and I didn't write it on the screen, but you're going to put a number 3, and I want you to tell me what you're going to diagnose Sally spews a ton with, okay? And I will let you know later what Sally spews a ton actually has, okay? So, one last time, you're going to go to Unit 1.4, called Disease Diagnosis. Read through the diagnostic clues. You don't worry about the bottom part yet. We'll tackle that next week. But you're going to then download these 3. You're going to read through, highlight all the things that don't look right with Sally spews a ton. Then you're going to do a kind of reverse Jeopardy thing. What questions did the doctor ask in order to get this information? And then you're finally going to diagnose our patient using the disease dictionary and the medical file. And you're going to come up with that. But you're going to document the process that you did in order to get the diagnosis. Finally, you're going to write the diagnosis here. After number 2, just write it somewhere down in here, and then that's that. Now, you're only going to turn in one file. You're going to turn in this document, but I need you to merge it with this one. So you're going to combine the medical file with the diagnostic clue file. So you're going to turn in one file. I should be able to scroll through and see everything. If you don't know how to do that, I'll work on a way of finding how to get you to do that. It's a whole lot easier when you're standing in my classroom and I can just show you on your own iPad. But we'll figure it out together, okay? So that's the assignment. Have a great day. Have a great 4-day weekend. We get 4-day weekends for the rest of the school year. That's not a bad gig. Well, you do. I don't. But that's a good gig. And so enjoy your time. Enjoy diagnosing Sally spews a ton. We'll see if we can't get her feeling better. Take care. Bye-bye.